This will be worth like beach. BCH, beach. This will be worth a whole playa, beach. You see what I'm saying? Bitcoin Cash. This will be worth one whole Bitcoin Cash. One whole beach. One whole BCH. One whole praia entero. Dia. I'm actually wearing this backwards, but I'm kind of liking how it kind of leaves my nose untickled. Let's put this threads up out of my nose. I need to do this. But I like it. It's kind of like in ancient indigenous sunglasses. Like I can see you, but you can't see me. Like I could play poker wearing this. You wear a lot of poker players wear sunglasses so that people can't see their eyes, know what they're thinking, invade your mind, whatever. I also think the colors look amazing. Kind of got like a Rastafarian vibe to it, like dreads. Like if I had hair, if this was my hair coming down from here, but just from here down below. I don't know. What do you guys think? Anyways, thinking of doing this now, kind of like disguise my energy, my looks. So yeah, I'm just here getting ready to dive into a little bit more of growing our own food sustainably, biodiversity, permaculture, agroforestry. We're basically fighting monoism. What is monoism? White culture, that's monoism. Their food is very monocrop food. Their religions, beliefs in very monotheistic gods. God. Only their God is real, everyone else God is less than unreal, right? They don't accept that other people have gods that are just as, if not more, truthful and godly, I guess is what you would say. For sure, it's much more godly than the the biblical God. Like, that is the least godly God out there. If you actually dig into the Bible and look at it, it's like horrendously satanic. This God of Israel, the God of the Bible, the God of the Torah, God of the Quran, they're all the same God, right? And it's the God that murders people, a lot of people, just because they don't worship him every day. Like, why does this God need to be worshipped every day? Why he created all of us to worship him? What kind of a megalomaniac narcissist is this God, right? Huh? So I am here um, in the small town, a couple hours like an island, really. The only way to get here is by boat or a scary propeller plane. And I mean, a hotel room that's pretty much only me, one person. And I don't know. Do you guys want to take a look around? I don't know. Yeah, fine. Let's take a look around. Put on clothes for you all. We can do a little bit of kung fu stretching, wushu stretching. Let's go. We have to be very quiet though, because I definitely feel like these walls are very thin and sound travels very far. But check it out. This is deep in the Amazon. There's this town. It's like the Wild West, isn't it? And yeah, there's like people with horses. They don't have roads to ship any cars here. So, it's a lie. There are some cars here, but there's literally like 5 or 6 cars in this whole town. It's mostly bicycles, and then some motorcycles, and then some ATVs, and then some horses, and then some cars in that order. And a few electric bikes are starting to pop up. And this is like a really fun thing to do for people, is to ride their bicycles around instead of walking around. But bicycles are pretty expensive too. And yeah, it's like very much like the Wild West. I walk around with a machete instead of a pistol. I'm sure some people have pistols as well, but even pistols are expensive. They're double the cost to get them here. But it's normal to have a pistol. It's normal to have a machete because there are snakes and panthers, jaguars. Basically, imagine how scary it would be to meet a 60-pound cat or an 80-pound, like, yeah, cat. Because I don't know if you've been around a cat that's 10 pounds. They're ferocious when they're angry. They will shred you up. Now imagine one that's 80 pounds. Sheesh. So yeah, it's normal to have a gun or a machete. So it's kind of the Wild West here. I am living in the Wild West. I'm noticing that now. It's like, I didn't notice it before, but that's the perfect way to describe it. It's the Wild West, and there's land with natives over there and over there. There's some natives that have been colonized and living in here in this town, and they're kind of like second-class citizens. And here this Korean Asian guy shows up. Crazy. But do you know, I heard that like 200 years ago, whatever, there were, or 100 years ago, there were Japanese samurai who got fired basically because Japanese um, switched to firearms, right? Like the firearm completely um, eliminates the uh, ability of samurai to be, you know, enforcement. Like it's instead of training someone to wield a sword for decades to be enforcement, you can give any kid a firearm and they can defeat a samurai after 1 month of training. They can defeat a samurai who has decades of sword training. So, anyways, the samurai got fired. It was just like what's happening now. AI is able to beat any human at any job. Any robot is able to beat any human. And now there's a lot less. Now there's a lot of people who are going to be fired. Anyways, back to my story. There were, not here specifically, but in the Americas, like 100 or 200 years ago, a bunch of samurai who got laid off, replaced by gunmen, police, military gunmen, and a bunch of samurai no longer had jobs. So they like went to wherever they could, and I think they ended up in like southwestern America, so like the Wild West. So like if you can imagine, they ended up in the Wild West where had a lot of money from the gold rush or whatever, I don't know, or a lot of money from building a railroad with Chinese slave labor. They didn't have to pay um, the Chinese well, or at all. They just killed them after they promised, like stupid Chinese who trusted white men, didn't know how evil white men were. Or let's not call them white, let's call them big Bible believing men, people who are dumb enough to believe the Bible. Never trust Bible believing men. If you encounter someone who deeply believes in the Bible as like anything truthful, you're you're dealing with people who are dumb, and dumb people will play dumb if it benefits them, and dumb people will stupidly think they are the victim when they are the cause of their victimhood and others as well. So, yeah, there's an indigenous guy. They all look at me, like directly at me and stare at me. I think they, yeah, like this guy just, I think, I don't know, they see, one person came up to me and said, do some magic, do something magical. And I was like, huh? And I just played along, like kind of like improv, like, okay, think of a number. I mean, I try to say it in Portuguese, but I don't think he understood. Like that's a game. Like think of a number. I think I've had two experiences where I did something like this in Brazil, where I'm like, think of a number, and then I like try to guess it. So I'll be like, 8 or 5, and then they're like, I just want to see if I'm right or not. You know, if I can guess if I can get inside their head and be like, oh, whoa. But it never works out, not because I'm right or wrong, but because they don't understand what I'm trying to do. Like, think of a number. They can't just think of a number randomly themselves. They need to be told, like, think of this number, and then tell me that, like, I'm like, randomly pick a number yourself and think of that number, and it is like difficult for them. Or I'm having difficulty, or they've never done that before. I don't know. I'm sure, yeah. What are you talking about? Anybody knows how to do this. All I'm saying is, I've done this like with enough people, and enough people didn't understand what I was trying to do. Like, they didn't understand my instruction of think up, pick a number at random yourself, and think of it without saying it. Like, for whatever reason, I cannot explain this right, or they don't understand what this is when I tell them that instruction and say they don't do it. Even when I'm like, do you have it? Do you have it in your head? They'll either say it out loud and ruin it. And I'm like, no, no, no. Okay. Do it again. But don't say it out loud. Just think it in your head. And then I'm like, do you have that number in your head? Okay. Is that number 3? And they just look at me like, and it turns out they didn't think of a number at all. And it's like, okay, forget it. That has happened so many times, enough where I've stopped doing it. I've stopped trying to ask someone to think of a number randomly themselves. And it feels like the reason is they have never done it before. They have never themselves chosen with their own free will something for themselves, like a random number. Like, okay, 1 through 10, I'm gonna pick um, 6. Like, I was gonna pick 7, but I was like, no, seven's too like common of a number. I'm gonna pick 6. I randomly chose 6. That's my free will. Like, no influence has pushed me that way. I believe some people haven't grown up ever having free will. And so when I ask them to pick a number, they're like, I can't. I really believe there's a lot of people like that. Um, and it's scary. It's sad. Um, Anyways, wow, it's already been 20 minutes. I came out here to show you guys what's outside here at this Wild West town. This is where I'm sleeping. And I tied this string up to hang up my clothes because there's no laundry. There's my bed. And there's my onions that I keep on my bed. I sleep next to onions and garlic. Don't ask me why. No, I don't do that. It's just there right now. Anyways, this is also where I've been doing my Tai Chi Wushu training because I don't know if you know this, but as you get older, and I don't mean like 50 years old, I mean like even from when you go from 7 years old to 11 years old. Like, I've been hanging around with a lot of kids. These indigenous communities are popping out a lot of kids. They get married young and they each make like 6 to 8 babies. So they're having like their boomer generation are a bunch of children out here. It's like, yeah, we're in a different, I went in a time machine to a different place. This is boomer 1948 Korea. The churches are arriving here. They're teaching the indigenous population here that their traditions and religions are backwards and dumb, and teaching them that the Bible is the truth. Look how prosperous we are because we believe in the Bible and God makes us prosperous. All that kind of bullshit stuff that my parents were taught in 1948, that's happening here right now. This is going on. And I see it, and I'm like screaming at people, stop this nonsense. This shit is gonna fuck you all up for life. They're like, calm down, whoa, easy there. Not that bad. And I'm like, yes, it is. It's fucking terrible. Because I see my parents, I see everyone, my family. I'm like literally from the future. There's one sheriff. He drives around and 100% sure he's on the payroll of the mafia, the uh, the drug dealers. And when I say drug dealers, I don't mean like the like, you think of like gangsters and black and brown people is what white people try to make you think it is, but it's actually not black and brown people. I mean, there are street sellers obviously making survivor money. They're feeding their family, their kids. I dated a woman who was part of that life. But I'm talking about the ones manufacturing these toxins. And I'm talking about the sugar plantation owners from 400 years ago. I'm talking about the sugarcane plantation slave owners who minted money. I'm talking about the bankers. The bankers are the same people who were the slave owners. They teach you that white people were the slave owners. Yes and no. They whipped the slaves and watched over them, micromanaged them. But the ones who actually funded the creation of slave ships, those were the ones who believed that they are the only ones God talks to and the only ones God really loves. The idea that God loves a certain people in a certain land. Those people were the ones who logically, when they encountered people from other lands, decided those people from other lands who God does not love and speak directly to. Right? Do you understand where slavery comes from? You don't really understand. Slavery comes from the Bible. What are you talking about? There was slavery before that. Well, I'm talking about rampant slavery. That comes from the Bible. There's never been rampant slavery. Until the Bible came. And Bible worshippers will always say, yes, there has. Yes, there has. But it's a lie. I went inside because I don't like the police to see me because I'm like I'm sure they know about me. They keep me. They have spies here to watch me. It's a small town, and they want addicts. Is that horses? Yeah, you can see the horses. Like I said, it's the Wild West. Or if you can't see the horses, you can hear their galloping on the road. It sounds really hard on them because it is kind of like a stone road, brick road. So yeah, all these bricks, they came from where? They were put onto boats to bring all the way here to make these giant wide roads that has like 6 cars. Like, I would have made this road split so that it was like down the middle of it there would be trees, like tall fruit trees, like mulberries. And you're like, well, mulberries don't grow in the Amazon. I've seen a mulberry tree in the Amazon. I've eaten delicious berries from this tree. Anyways, mulberry trees down here, easy to prune. And then on each road, it would just be like one, not even like, let's say 50 centimeter wide brick road for each tire. So 2 50-centimeter wide trails of bricks. And then plant, you know, grass. There's grass, right? Plant low grass. And it would be so much more beautiful. And like, you would need like 80% less bricks. So it would be so much cheaper. And just so much more green and beautiful. You know what? not mulberries. Let's go ahead and plant bamboo right down the middle and along the sides, and it would be like a covered archway. And then you would have the sidewalks in bricks and concrete. It is nice they put a sidewalk here and here. Most towns in Brazil don't have that. And it's very difficult to walk because you're constantly, each home, each business, one decides to have a driveway, store their car in their house, the next doesn't, the next does. And so it's kind of just like everyone's owns a bit of the sidewalk instead of a common sidewalk owned by everyone. So yeah, these are just future things we need to think about when we have our own town. Like this is a town built by rubber slavers, rubber slave owning Bible believers. Like I told you, never trust a Bible believer because they are dumb enough to justify themselves that slavery is. I think I just saw an owl hunting. Anyways, yeah, Bible believers are dumb enough to figure out how to use the Bible to justify the idea that slavery is um, something they should participate in. So, well, do you see owl flying over there? I'm pretty sure that's an owl. It's kind of far away over on the soccer field. Not a big owl. It's like medium-sized bird size. Anyways, tomorrow I will be entering the jungle, and I'm going to show you what it's like, the real jungle I mean. And I'm going to show you a little bit. I won't have internet during the journey, but there'll be a little bit while I'm here in the town using the cell tower. That's the question, is how do they get the signal to the cell tower here? Because that means they laid a bunch of cable through the jungle? No, they did it through the river. It's probably a cable going that they brought all along the winding river. Anyways, but yeah, that cell signal is only 5 or 6 years old. The cell tower here. And interesting, okay. But yeah, let's do some Tai Chi, shall we? So first things first. Better. What we want is to regain our. I think most of you probably, as children, were very, very flexible, or you simply forgot your childhood and you don't remember, but you were very, very flexible as a child.
And that's when you were also most spiritual. Why am I showing you the top of my head? Anyways, you were most spiritual and most divine as a very, very young child. And you were also coincidentally very, very flexible. Your body, your body was very flexible. Your mind was very flexible. Your soul was very flexible. Flexibility is godliness. Get that into your head. Um, so as we get older and more closer to death, let's 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 start being honest. All right. Instead of saying how old are you, we should be saying how close to death are you? Yeah, I'm like 40-ish. So I'm assuming like I'll be 40 or 50 years. I'm 40 or 50 years from death. Um, 40 or 50 years from death. Where that? So I'm middle aged, I would say. I'm just basing that off the fact that my parents have reached about 80-ish, and I think they are very close to death. Um, anyways, they are very close to death, and I'm quite sure that their body is very, very stiff and unflexible. As stiff and unflexible as their bodies have ever been. Like when they were born, their body was extremely flexible. Even their skull was like soft. Every bone in their body was soft, like a frog. And then 5 years old, that flexibility is down to here. Right, they start off up here. At 5 years old, the flexibility is down here. At 10 years old, it's down here. Yeah, this difference from 5 and 10-year-olds is huge. I'm hanging around with a bunch of kids, all of different ages, and we're like all doing kung fu together and doing stretches together. And you can see all the 5-year-olds, the 6-year-olds, the 7-year-olds, they have crazy flexibility. And then all the 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, they're all already looking old. They don't have the flexibility to do the splits anymore. And I was the same way. I could do the splits when I was like 8 years old, 10 years old. But 12, 13, nope. Because we got stiffer and stiffer. But we can train our bodies to hold on to that. And that's what yoga is about. To increase that flexibility, increase our body flexibility, we're increasing our mind flexibility. People think their mind is up here and their body's down here. Your mind is everywhere. If you learn how to do this with your hands, you learn how to be more harmonious and fluid in your mind. This this is not a body thing. This is a mind thing. I'm doing this with my mind. My mind is still in my hands. It's not just up here. It's in my movements. It's in my flexibility. If I want to have a more intelligent brain, I'm not going to get that just by sitting and reading. I have to move my body in new ways. I have to flex my body to new extents. But it's not actually new, it's actually returning to your original flexible state. A baby is able to learn so much more, so much faster than an 80-year-old. An 80-year-old is not learning anything because they seen things that have stiffened their minds, and they have bodies that no longer are able to stretch. Like even if you try to stretch an old person's legs or hamstrings, you probably just like break their hip instead. Like there's no stretching for someone who's that old unless they've stretched their entire lives, especially starting at around 30 or 40ish, like I am doing. So yeah, I've lost a lot of my flexibility. I used to be pretty flexible. I used to be able to do the splits and do um, flying kicks, taekwondo kicks and stuff. And I lost all that. So I'm gaining it back. Every day, come stretch with me, stretch your body, and you will stretch your mind. And that's what intelligence is all about. Here's I'll show you the horsemen that are coming, being chased by a dog. Like I said, this is the Wild West out here. And I'm even thinking about getting myself uh, because it is the Wild West. I'm not like trying to be a gangster, but like Amanda has this thing like violence is evil. If someone buys a gun, you're an evil person. Um, so yeah, I'm past that, thinking peace is not peace. You're not peaceful by not buying a gun. You're peaceful by having a gun. You're peaceful by having a gun, knowing how to use the gun, being extremely willing to use a gun on many people, but choosing not to. That's true peace. For all you gun owners, your gun rights people, all the red-blooded Americans who own guns. Um, I think most of you all are full of bullshit. You just are violent people who thirst for killing someone who's, um, maybe someone's bullied you or stole from you or beat you up or made you fear for your physical safety, and now you're grown up and your fantasy is to kill somebody who tries to break into your home or steal from you or something. Your fantasy is to shoot and kill. So I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people that say, you know what? Who've realized on like thought deeply and reflected that like, am I peaceful or am I weak? Because if I'm just weak and and refusing to buy a gun, that means like if I had a gun, I might end up killing someone. Okay, so then you're not really peaceful. You're gunless. You're choosing to be gunless so that you don't do something violent to someone. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about like I don't drink alcohol. I don't want to drink alcohol. Um, but if I go around refusing to be in a restaurant that serves alcohol or go to someone's house that has alcohol in it, like that means I don't believe I have the self-control. That means I want the alcohol, and if I go to a place that has it, I would be like enslaved to drinking alcohol, right? I'm trying to make something understandable here. Like I'm a non-alcohol drinker because I truly don't like it. And sometimes I would drink a cold beer, like a Corona, because it is like bubbly, like acidic, cuts the grease from your mouth, especially if you put lime in it. The acid from the citric acid from the lime makes the grease, like if you're eating Mexican fajitas, steak fajitas, the grease from the beef coats your mouth and you can't taste as well because your mouth buds, taste buds on your tongue are bad. And then you drink a lime acidic drink and it cleans off the oil, the grease from your tongue. The acid does, so that you can taste the food again. Um, Little cooking. I'm a chef, so I may dive into cooking. We have to all learn how to cook, by the way. Not knowing how to cook your food, that's like basic 101 for being a human. And especially men out here who are like, oh, cooking's for women. It's women's work. Women should cook for me. It's like, okay, you can knock your you're engaging in slavery is what you're doing. You're enslaving women to be cooking slaves for men. Oi, okay. Anyways, when you enslave others to do things for you, you harm yourself as well. You lose those skills, right? And you make yourself dependent on others. Um, the slave masters, the oligarchs, the billionaires, the bankers, the Bible believers, they they're not just evil and satanic. What they are is dependent. They're enslaved to depending on slaves. Like they can't survive on their own in nature. So that's why they are um, attached at the hip to slavery. And I don't just mean the billionaires, I mean even the people working 9 to 5 jobs in the city. I'm here like, ah, oh, I hate city people. They're all they're all exploiting nature. City people, they're all destroying it. Even if they just sit in a room and be vegans and you know, recycle, don't use straws, all that kind of stuff. They're still exploiting nature. They're using air conditioning. They're using heating during the winter and air conditioning during the summer and all of that. Um, Even if they just sit in their room and do nothing, all that electricity is destroying nature. Their existence continues to destroy nature. And they are adding to the GDP of their nature destroying country. Their country uses that GDP to justify their financial power to destroy nature. Right? They have more money to buy more politicians to destroy nature. They have more money to bribe and loan to companies and people to go out and destroy nature. So yeah, I hate city people, but at the same time, I understand that they are dependent on the city. They can't survive in nature. They can't cook for themselves. They can't grow their own food. They need the city to do everything for them and exploited and enslaved workers to do everything for them. They go and eat their Chick-fil-A because that Chick-fil-A has people that are in financial slavery, willing to be super happy and pleasant and make bland white meat chicken. I don't understand Chick-fil-A. I don't understand it at all. It's like it's slave food is what it is. Bland monocrop monoculture slave food. Oh, I was supposed to show you guys the stretching that I do. Sorry. Let's do this. All right, so first thing to realize is we start everything from the core here. So we're going to be stretching out this region here. We're going to stretch out our core. That's our root chakra. That's where life begins, right? This is where, yeah, our dick and vagina is. So let's stretch that area out.
here, 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 here. All this here, all this here, all this here. We're stretching that out. And for me, it's so stiff. Again, we're focusing on this chakra here. We're gonna do one leg in the air splits. Wow, that feels really good. What else? What else is there? So working on that stretching, I really feel like rejuvenated. One more stretch. Let's do one more. bunch of rain bugs. Oh. That was a good stretch. That was a really good stretch. I deserve eat some toxic sugar. I guess sugar is my one vice. I need to reflect on my sugar intake. This is a frozen fruit ice cream in a plastic sack. You're supposed to eat the plastic sack. This is very not good at all. I want to put it in a cup is what I want to do. I'm squeezing it out into a makeshift cup because I can't do it. I can't suck on a plastic sack like a penis. Whoever invented this, I think, had that in mind. Literally like it's literally like a condom filled with ice cream. You're supposed to yeah. Sick of look at this. Incredibly sweet. Too much sugar. The family that makes this, they're all fat. And massively addicted to sugar, I think. I'm putting granola in it so that it's a little bit less sugary. There's a lot of things I want to talk about. But maybe I'll save it to the later call. And I have to learn how to say it in Portuguese and Chinese, Mandarin. I barely know how to say it in English. Talking about teaching what I know. How do I teach what I know when I can barely speak good? Fuck it, I'll just try repeating it and making just like Kung Fu. Be repetitive, repeat it every day, and just focus on getting 1% better every day. So I'll be like a record player, just over and over, saying what I know, just trying to say it 1% better each day, each time. Alright, so what was I talking about? Or what was I wanting to talk about? Or what have I been talking about? What have I been trying to explain for so long, but really being unable to get people to understand? Because I have to make it relatable. That's the thing. I'm explaining it to someone who thinks about money from a banking perspective. But other people aren't bankers. I need to explain it to them from their perspective. Alright. Okay. Let me try to do that. Well, alright, so I saw a video clip of a documentary, I guess, of the struggles of a poor African nation struggling to escape Western banking system. So how do I word this to be truthful, but in a way for you to understand? The truth is, the global south
is enslaved, to the Bible believing slave masters. It's religious Bible believers who invented money, or not invented money, they invented banking. They invented money that bankers create a create and invent or breed people that believe in their money that they create. Anyways, there was a documentary about this African country trying to build like roads and railroads and ports and stuff um, with the help of Chinese engineers and construction and technology, which means sending a bunch of Chinese people to live and work in Africa for some time. These are big infrastructure projects, roads that require years to build. So there's an Asian guy that clearly has been living in Africa for some time, building these projects, and he's like, everyone is so poor. He's just like making his observation, and like, everyone is so poor and doing nothing to improve their lives. Everyone's lives are so poor and miserable, and instead, all their spare money and time drinking and partying, going to the bar. He says drinking alcohol at the bar and shaking their butts. And yeah. And so it's kind of just saying like, look, the bakers are evil for all that they've done, sure, but you can't use that as an excuse for you to just drink all your money away and not work hard for future generations to escape the slavery. So yeah, alcohol is a big, a key pillar in this world of slavery. People, some guy tried to tell me, no, we all have to drink alcohol. It's all healthy medicine too. I was like, what are you talking about? And it came to mind like, oh yeah, I used to hear when I was younger, don't trust someone who doesn't drink alcohol. And I understood like the idea is like someone who's holy person is probably wicked in some secret way. And everyone who's doing wicked alcohol, at least you can see their wickedness on the surface, which is alcohol. And whatever. But now when I think about it, I'm like, you know who invented that? The banks. The banks invented that saying to get people to shun non-alcohol drinking. Let's bring it back to being relatable to you. You'll notice that all the enslaved countries have a lot of alcohol consumption, right? Go to Colombia, Brazil, Venezuela, um, right? All the colonized countries as well in Africa, all the countries that have suffered from the banking system, they'll become alcoholics. Um, right? Because when they're suffering, people want a painkiller. So people want to forget their suffering by drinking a lot. And when you drink a lot, you're not thinking about your suffering anymore. You're not thinking at all, really. So alcohol is an escape, and it's funny how governments of all these countries that should be able to learn and progress and invest in the future and all that, they aren't because um, the government has made alcohol legal, has made alcohol perfectly legal, and the government even promotes it. Behind the scenes, they work together with the alcohol producers and the marketers, and they create holidays and events and football, sports, where you drink alcohol and watch and cheer and meet up together and watch and drink alcohol together, and all of that is designed to make you, to train you to go to use alcohol to escape your suffering, to associate alcohol with alegria, happiness, alegria. But in reality, they are becoming mentally dumb. Decades of drinking will make you mentally dumb. Mentally dumb to not see how you're being manipulated. Mentally dumb to easily believe propaganda that is full of lies, blatant lies. You're mentally dumb from years of drinking. And that's painful to think about. That your brain damaged, psychologically damaged, mentally and emotionally weak and sick and spiritually lost. It's painful to face that truth. It's especially as time goes on as you get older. It's scary to think that you are not a good person, that you're a believer and promoter of lies. Your whole life wasted believing lies and propaganda and idiotic, completely wrong lies. It's embarrassing. It's painful. So, yeah, people don't want to see that. So they keep drinking alcohol. And that's why they make cannabis illegal. Because it does the opposite. It makes you present. It's not an escape. Anyways, the banks know this, that alcohol is very necessary to keep people sick and dumb. Sick and dumb, so that they will eat toxic, poisonous food and become sick, so that they will buy pharmaceuticals, either antidepressants for their brain or medicines for their body. They're obese, diseased bodies. So yeah, you need bank money to buy this alcohol and these antidepressants and these pharmaceutical drugs that barely cure you. So you can't go live in the jungle and grow your own food. You have to live in the city and make bank money. And living in the city, it's really hard to grow your own food. So you have to buy their industrialized food. Even their fruits and vegetables, they've grown as monocrops, full of fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides. And it's toxic, even though it looks big and beautiful, this big and beautiful apple or corn or everything is toxic as fuck, and you will get sick, and it's making your brain not work well, and your body turn to turned into a paycheck for the banks to collect your slavery, put you in debt slavery. So yeah, you can see here with the indigenous people, they could easily grow all their own food, but they are drinking alcohol now. They are spending all their money on parties, birthday cakes. Cost 300 reais for a birthday cake. And cake for their birthday. So imagine a village of 50 people, 50 times 300 each year. 300 reais times 10 is 3,000 times 5 is
15,000 AIs every year gets spent on cake. Meanwhile, their kids are malnourished and starving and tattered. Yeah, their kids are in tatters. Everything is in tatters. And they're spending all their money on cakes and alcohol as well. There's a guy from a baker from that used to sharpen my knives for me in Parakuru. I'm a chef, so I needed sharp knives, and I didn't have time to sharpen my knives. Anyways, he was messaging how he remembers noticing me at a restaurant bar in that town. I guess I was with several people, my friends. Many of them were drinking. That's what he noticed. And I was like, oh. I guess people noticed that. I didn't think people would notice that. So it was almost like it was probably awakening a lot of people to the idea of not drinking alcohol without talking to them, without telling them alcohol is bad for you, blah, 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 blah. It's probably like, oh, he's not drinking alcohol because he probably knows alcohol is bad, and so he looks really. When I first arrived to the town, when I first met everyone, everyone was drinking a lot of alcohol. A lot of poor people, but drinking alcohol all the time. Beers, 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 beers. Limes or pineapple fruit, whatever. Passion fruit. Anyways. And I was there for like 3 years, 4 years. And leaving that town, in the months before leaving that town, everyone that I was like, kind of just like I had negative opinions about, like, oh, they're just heavy alcoholics, they're not, they're low vibration people, not people that I can really spiritually connect with because their spiritual antenna, the pineal gland, their brain, uh, pineal gland is all hardened by alcohol, years of alcohol. It's not really people I can spiritually connect with, have spiritual chats with. So, anyways, all these people that I pretty much distanced myself from, not having close friendships with, turns out like not all at once, not at the same time, but each on their own time and each on their own path. They started to tell me like, hey, I quit drinking alcohol a little while ago, and they would be telling me a little bit about it, like, and like, maybe they had some kind of health issues or depression or something, mental issues. And they decided to give quitting alcohol a try and sticking to it. And each time I was like, oh, really? Oh, I didn't, I couldn't imagine you quitting. Like, I just wrote you off as an alcoholic who would never quit. And so to hear you say, oh, you quit, I'm like, whoa, you quit? And they're like, I they they try to tell me like they weren't that much alcoholics. So I'm like, you were very much alcoholics. Anyways, so it was a lot of people like that in the final months before I left, telling me, you know, like opening that conversation with me, telling me about it. And now that I'm reflecting on that, now I'm like, you know what? I guess everyone knew me as the non-alcoholic weirdo when I got here. Everyone drinks. Why isn't he drinking? And so everyone looked at me as like, um, almost like a monk that doesn't drink. Anyways, um, going to opening the conversation like, hey, I quit drinking a long time ago. I'm on, I've been alcohol for a month or 2 months, or 3 months. And I'm like, oh, cool, yeah, you know, you probably, how do you feel? Do you blah, blah, blah? You feeling much better? Do you, but yeah, I'm talking about this because it's like, wow, I believe, I believe in the butterfly effect. Um, where even a small butterfly can change the course of a massive hurricane. Because there's like a domino effect, and it's a matter of time. Like, if you go back in time and step on a bug, maybe a bird that was supposed to eat that bug doesn't get to eat that bug and instead um, gets shot and killed by a hunter who only saw him. But if he had been eating that bug, that hunter would have killed another bird. Anyways, like the domino effects over time, a tiny little insect could completely change the course of the entire world. It's just a matter of how much time you give for that domino effect into a million different alternative futures. So, like, if I never left USA, would these dozens, like literal dozens of people in this small beach town still be drinking alcohol today? And how many other people are being influenced by these, 15, 20, 30 people I've opened their mind to the idea of being alcohol? These 30 people, maybe they also influence each of them a dozen or 2 dozen other people, right?
And then domino effect, domino, domino. In 10 years, that's like thousands of people that I opened up, completely changed their lives to be alcohol free. And not even like preaching. I only preached hardcore to Amanda because we were together all the time, and so she wants to go to the bar and drink. I'm like, why do you have to drink? And then she's like, you don't own me, you don't control me, you don't tell me what to do. I get to decide. And I'm like, I'm just telling you, your alcohol drinking is fucking you up. It's doing this, blah, blah, blah. And I would lecture. And now she's experienced the same thing with her friends. She's fighting with them because they like to drink wine. They think wine is better than beer. But it's more alcohol, actually. It's the alcohol that's bad, even though wine seems more sophisticated. Anyways, that reflection that I'm doing right now about possibility that I myself, through the butterfly effect, um, was pretty much the spark that created a good sized forest fire of non-alcoholics. Do you understand what I mean? Like, I've possibly affected 1,000 lives. And in 10 years, that number could be 1,000,000, 10 million lives. 100 million lives. A billion. 2 billion. $3 billion lives. So it's a good lesson, a good reflection to spend time on, because we can use the same strategies. We can reproduce the same network effect to bring people from alcoholism to alcohol free to banking to bank free. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, we go up another level. The alcohol is used to make you work for bankers' money, and then to take away your money by making you dumb and sick. Sick and dumb. And banking currency is the same way. The reason you're not enjoying nature is because instead you're working in the city with 5,000 people, like here in on the Jordan River, deep in the Amazon.
The indigenous people are forced to leave the jungle and come to this to work for bank currency in order for them to have money to buy alcohol. What do you mean? Not, they need money to eat. No, they can grow their own food in the jungle. They can hunt. They can plant. But they're not. Because they want alcohol and other crap that's not good for them. So yeah, I'm trying to convince people to use healthier money. Money that doesn't make you financially sick. Money makes me financially sick. There's money that makes. What does that mean? Like alcohol makes me mentally sick and physically sick. And there's money that makes me financially sick. How does money, if I have a lot of money, how are you gonna call me? Are you gonna say I'm more financially sick? Explain that one to me, buddy. Ha ha ha, you are a comedian. I do get annoyed when people do that on like Instagram comments. They're arguing with me, they don't agree at all with me, or they're trying to discredit me. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to discredit me to others. Where they put the laughing emoji face when they reply to the truth that I'm spitting. Why does that bother me? Anyways. Yeah, the banks created this culture that people are lost and suffering, so they drink alcohol to escape that feeling of being lost and escape their suffering for a night, even though they'll feel like shit the morning after, or they'll they'll feel like shit more and more as time goes on. Anyways, I need to be an example instead of preaching so much, or I can do both, but I need to put more energy, be more balanced by being more of an example and letting people awaken from that vibration that I'm putting out there. So without using words, really. Words are
protective, changing people. Words are just good for writing down who has done what. But yeah, people are leaving, the indigenous people are leaving the jungle to go to the cities because the cities have bank currency. Bank currency that allows them to buy convenience food. Like we don't have supermarkets here, we have convenience stores selling industrialized convenience food packaged in plastic. And people don't want to, especially the men don't want to cook for themselves. Especially young men who are not married or they don't have a woman, they can't cook for themselves, so they buy convenience food, industrialized food. And if that food makes them feel like shit, and the domino effect from that is they go and drink alcohol to escape their suffering and pain and spiritual disconnection. And then because they drink alcohol, their body immunity, everything collapses and they get sick. And they need to buy pharmaceutical drugs, medication, and they need more bank money to do that. A lot more. So they become a slave to bank money. And of course, they have a lot of pretty bells and whistles they can buy to make themselves attractive women. So they become more and more poor, even though they're making more and more money. They just become more and more workaholics in the city or trapped in the city because they are all at the same time they're forgetting all the skills, they're losing strength. Like here, people are walking around in shoes and slippers, and they can't walk barefoot in the jungle anymore. Now you need to buy new shoes and slippers every 6 months. So people are enslaved to the money, constantly having to buy new shoes, new clothes. Because here in the city, you're not allowed to walk around naked as you would in the jungle. Well, at least all the kids walk around naked. The adults are corrupted from living in the city. So they lose all their skills and they become comfortable in the city and then they become uncomfortable in nature, like their feet wearing shoes all the time, they lose the strength to walk around barefoot in the jungle. So right now there were a lot of fruit trees there that were planted maybe like a dozen years ago, between 2005 and 2015. Somebody was planting a lot of trees, but the last 10 years they stopped planting trees, and trees are constantly dying. It's part of life and death. And normally that's why trees create a lot of seeds. The idea is one tree will produce a lot of seeds so that if and when it dies, there's 12 other trees that are growing. And with humans' help being replanted and spread around. But yeah, these indigenous people have stopped planting the trees, seeds, about 5 years ago, and started more just living in the city. So now they've all forgotten how to plant their own food. None of them know how to plant their own food now. None of them know how to grow their own gardens. Like, and that's me too. I don't know how to grow shit. I'm here telling them we all need to learn how to grow shit. But I don't know how to grow anything. And growing our own food, that's the real true wealth. And growing it in a way that's sustainable for 50 years and in a way that our children's children will have amazing homegrown food as well. But yeah, I'm trying to explain to people how we could all have free food and homes that don't cost $500,000, homes that cost like 1 month's of work. Is it a home that will last for 100 years? No. But neither is your home. Your Ryan home McMansion that cost $850,000 in the suburbs, it is going to fall apart in 25 years. Like a few years before you pay it off and actually own it, it'll fall apart by then. And you don't even know it. You think it's high quality materials, but it's not. The builders know. Ask any builder of these homes. They're like, they know it's bare, it's the cheapest materials they could possibly
slide past you. Anyways, I'm trying to explain to people that I see a world where we all have free food, locally grown. And we all cook for ourselves and have potluck dinners all the time. Like Thanksgiving potluck dinners every night, almost. Not every night, but like big gathering dinners, like 30 people, 40 people, 50 people, and like a banquet of like 20 different dishes. And so you can just fill up a plate with a variety of food. And then there would be leftovers to take home and eat for the next 2 or 3 days. And then you do it all over again. So it would be like Thanksgiving every, like 2 Thanksgivings a week. Like one on the Sunday and one on Thursday. That's what I want. And it's all free. It's all locally grown. Everything's in season. And I'm trying to explain to people that all that money that we normally spend on food, all that money we have to work for the banks for in their cities for, to buy their food, instead we can use it to build better infrastructure. What is infrastructure? Things that everyone uses and will benefit from, not just certain people. What is something that everyone uses and would benefit from? Roads, right? Everyone would be using a road. So at this jungle place, there's no roads, there's no paths. And a lot of the paths were slippery, especially with my Crocs. And it requires extra strength not to slip. And I want to build a path with steps, with whatever scrap wood is around, branches and sticks even. Why? Because that's infrastructure that will make it so much easier for me and everyone else to walk along these trails and paths. I would love to get that hemp or coconut. I don't know if it's coconut husk or hemp, but they made these like thick mats out of coconut rope or hemp rope. Anyways, in Asia they have that. I would like that as well. Anyways, trying to explain to people that we could take all that money from instead of buying industrialized glyphosate food that will make us sick and take all our money in the form of
pharmaceuticals that we will need. Um, all that money can be invested in infrastructure like roads and trails and whatnot that everyone uses, which in turn would make it easier to walk around and make it easier to work and produce more food, free food. And then you could sell that free food, that extra surplus, right? So we're planting watermelons. It's a lot of work. But if there was a path, getting to the watermelons and giving it water every day is a lot easier. And it's not such a grind anymore. And so I have more energy to plant more watermelons. A lot more. Because instead of climbing up a hill with no walking path and only being able to have the energy to take care of 50 watermelon plants, with a walking path, I can take care of 100 watermelon plants. Now I have 50 watermelons plants producing 150 or 200 watermelons, assuming each plant produces 4 watermelons. And then with those 150 watermelons, I can sell them for what? For bank money? For what? Why do I want bank money? Why do I want to sell my watermelons for bank money to buy industrialized food that will make me sick and take my money again? Do you understand? No. No, I want to sell the watermelon for a currency that will grow in value with time, that I can save it. That's all I want to do with currency, is earn it, save it, until it's worth more, like years later, 10 years later, and then use that to buy more land, to plant and protect from cattle ranchers, right? Use that money to buy robots and drones that will carry all the watermelons to town. Like, China just came out with a new battery, or at least in 2027, a new battery that will weigh 4 times less, or 3 or 4 times less, and be able to be charged like twice as fast, and will it's better in so many ways. So that means the drones right now that can lift 100 kilograms can have a much smaller battery, much lighter battery. So instead of a 40-pound battery, you could have a 20-pound battery. And because it's 20 pounds lighter, it can go 10 kilometers farther. So I can grow watermelons and drone them all the way to town to be sold. or stop midway, recharge for 10 minutes, and then continue. Like, all of this is coming. But it's only coming to those that can it's only coming to those that are free. Because if you're enslaved to the cities and the banks and the industrialized food and the sicknesses, um, if you're not going to be able to build the infrastructure that you need to prosper. And only the people that prosper will be able to have drones and robots and infrastructure. Do you understand? So I'm trying to explain this to people. Maybe I need to use AI in some way. But yeah, I am envisioning people that are, because right now it's very difficult to prosper in nature. But with infrastructure and technology, people will be able to grow their own food, and a lot of it, I'm not just saying, oh, robots will do it. I'm saying, like, people are learning how people all over the world grow watermelons, and we're all using special tips and techniques and developing for each area. Oh, they use green natural farming all around the world now because of the internet. Right here in Brazil, this guy is using green natural farming to create a um, a natural fertilizer, like literally like fermenting a bacterial concoction to bring probiotic concepts to the soil. Anyways, we should all be growing our own local foods. All the people you live around, you should be pretty familiar with all five to the closest 5,000 people around you. You should be pretty familiar with all of them. That's a healthy reality. And if you're not close and familiar with the closest five, like proximity to the closest 5,000 people around you, and you're not closely familiar with them, you're isolated and you're surrounded by people that you're not aligned with at all. That's a grind. That's, you're in the wrong place, or you're just in the wrong place. Or you need to awaken everyone to start um, growing food with you, and to stop drinking alcohol with you. Like, anyways, even to start cooking your own food with you, like, the people around you need convenience. You need to learn how to make a healthy sandwich using bread that you made at home, using corn. Why don't why don't we have cornbread buns for sandwiches?
would be fucking amazing. Okay, grow our own corn that's free of glyphosate and other pesticides and herbicides, and then yeah, you grind it up. Um, Convert it to flour. Make tortillas. Oh, duh, yeah, that is cornbread. That is a sandwich. Yeah. I want cornbread sandwiches and burgers. Anyways, people are now too lazy to cook. People don't know how to cook. Majority of people don't know how to cook for themselves. And so that's people that, if you don't know how to cook for yourself, you're very prone to buying industrialized food when you're hungry. Because learning how to cook for yourself is also learning how to cook quickly for yourself. If cooking for yourself involves cutting an onion and it takes you really long time to cut an onion, it's gonna end up being 50 minutes for you to cook your own meal. And cooking is not just making a delicious meal. It's also, can you make it fast? I remember when I was dating Brisa, the woman that had the body of a porn star. She wanted to cook something for me, and the way I saw her doing, I was like, that's gonna take like an hour. It's already like 8:45. That means we're gonna eat at like 10 o'clock. I'm like, no. Cancel the dinner. I'm gonna cook. And we'll eat in 15 minutes. I also taught her you have to preheat a pan. You can't throw food onto a pan that isn't hot because the food will stick to the pan. When the pan heats up, the crevices where the materials spread and grow, which makes the crevices shrink. You start throw food on the pan before the crevices have shrunk from the heat, you're going to have food sticking to the pan in the crevices. But yeah, people are trained to forget how to cook, and then they become dependent on industrialized foods, quick industrialized foods. And that means they become dependent on the money from the banks that buys that industrialized fast food. And then you get sick from that toxic industrialized food. And then you need more bankers' money to buy the medicine you need that softens the symptoms of your illness that you got because you were eating industrialized food for a dozen years. And you need a lot of money for this medicine, so that you're basically enslaved. Enslaved to needing bank money to buy medicines
and more industrialized food because you can't eat healthy. You can't grow your own healthy food. And you can't cook your own healthy food. And times that by a billion people, whatever, and that's why the banks have nearly unlimited money to own all the governments and all the politicians and all the farms, all the monocrop farms, own all the religions, own all the alcohol companies and circuses, sports and entertainment and film, movies. And also own all the marketing geniuses, all the people that know how to um, package their poisonous goislop and make all their cigarettes and alcohol and industrialized food look good in the packaging. They they know how to start training kids to like certain types of packaging with candy as and then when those kids grow older subconsciously they like food that's packaged with those color schemes and patterns. So, kids who bought lollipops with certain plastic packaging, when they're adults, they buy food that has hints of similar patterns and colors to remind them of their favorite childhood memory. So much of food is attached to memories. Like, I love beef. I love grilled ribs marinated in Korean sauces. Because when I eat it, I remember when I was like 7, eating with my family on the deck during the summer under the trees. Bulgogi and galbi fresh off the grill, wrapped in lettuce leaves. I honestly think those are my happiest childhood memories. Summertime, all the trees are full and green. Like creating a canopy over the deck that we're barbecuing Korean food and eating Korean food under. This is a 3-hour long video. No one's gonna watch this. But that's not my intention to have strangers watch this. Is it, Jeff? Jeff is such a weird name now that I think about it. So you can't blame me when I tell you my new name is Sapa. What made you adopt a new name and pick a weird name? I think Jeff is a weird name. I I've had to go by that my entire life, and I've always felt, no, I'm not a Jeff. I'm not. My vision is so far outside of. I'm around people that, especially these people, it's so far outside their reality. I've taught one person, he's really excited to learn about it. I taught him to be my bank for me. Like I sent him my beach. I sent him my beach money. And had him buy me or buy my cat something, or buy my. I had him buy something that was needed. That's what banks are supposed to do. That's all banks are supposed to do. Help people buy things. But yeah, he knew nothing about it before, and um, now he knows more. Anyways, the banks sure do have a lot of marketing geniuses on their payroll. They know how to train people from childhood. They know how to carefully name products and companies, and you know what? Why can't we learn to do the same for ourselves? The banks are brainwashing us. Right? They put art on their plastic packaging of juice powder. It's made up of 0.02% real fruit, and then everything else is chemicals, and they put a picture of beautiful grapes or strawberries on the packaging, and it looks like candy. It's the same type of font and packaging that they fed us with as kids, and now we don't want to buy the plain brown simple paper packaging. But yeah, we needed to use this kung fu against them as well and for us. So, like, Bitcoin Cash is a terrible name. Kids do not want to use it. It's cold and empty, and people will confuse it with Bitcoin, which is the older brother that got corrupted. We need to distance ourselves from that corrupted evil twin. We need to come up with a nickname, a synonym name, just like a synonym for money is currency, or currency became money. Money became a nickname for currency or banknote, and then cash became a nickname for money. So yeah, it's fun to say cash. It's fun to say bills, but kids need something different now because people who say those words got bad energy. So BCH, BCH, it's kind of like you're saying beach, right? BCH is beach without the EA in between. So it's kind of like a syllable for, instead of Bitcoin Cash, it also be a syllable short for beach, BCH. What's BCH short for? I've heard it's Bitcoin Cash. Actually, it's also short for beach, as in, uh, this is beach money. When you travel to a beach, you could use beaches, beach currency, BCH. When you travel, or when you own a house on the beach, you bought it with beach money that you were saving. You were saving BCH to buy a piece of a beach. And it actually like works out because if you think about it, I researched this. It's like 750 million people living at the beach or within 5 miles, 5 kilometers, sorry, 3 miles from the beach, 5 kilometers. So 750 million people. Um, Wanting to live at the beach. And we get closer, like within 1 kilometer walking distance, there's like 200 million people in the world um, who are lucky enough to live at the beach within 1 kilometer walking distance. Um, so let's say there are how many? I think there's something like 60,000 kilometers of coastline or something. I don't know. Let's just focus on these 200 people that live within walking distance of the beach. Uh, Probably 90% of them are struggling, right? Working class, enslaved to bank currencies. And then 10% of them are well off or retired, wealthy retired, or extremely wealthy. So you're talking about 20 million people on this planet who live right on or within 1 kilometer of the beach. And they number 10% of the 200 million, which is the top 10% of 200 million people living at the beach, or 1 kilometer of it, is 20 million. So that makes sense. There's probably there's probably like 80 million wealthy people who don't really need to work. Like they could retire. So they are either retired or they are working for leisure or as a hobby. They could literally just relax if they wanted to. So there's probably 80 million of those people on this planet, and the other 7,200,000,000 people are working class and enslaved. And so what I'm trying to say is this 20 million people who have a property on a beach. 20 million out of the 80 million wealthy people have a beach house close to a cool beach. And I'm not talking about just oceans, I'm talking cool rivers, cool lakes, waterfront, right? There's some really cool properties here along this Amazon River. Or these Amazon rivers, all these tributaries and such. And they all have praias, they all have beaches. So yeah, I'm gonna start talking to kids about praias. How much of a praia is this onion? How much is a beach? How much of a beach is this onion? How many onions will I need to buy one beach from one of the 20 million rich people that own beaches? Like point 0.000 0.0000001 BCH? Huh? like if an onion like let's try to figure that out. Hmm? Like one onion can buy this much of a beach. This much of a beach. One onion. One onion can buy this much of a beach, maybe? Or this much of a beach? A handful of beach? How many handfuls of sand is at a beach property of one of these 20 million wealthiest beach property owners? In handfuls within a 5 meter by 5 meter square. Right, so I don't know, 10,000 onions per 25 square meters. 100 square meters, 10 by 10. It's kind of still small, but we're talking 40,000 onions. No, that's too cheap. It would be like 80,000 onions. So 2 onions would make a small handful. Of a beach. And one small handful of a BCH. What's that? That's gonna be like 0.00008 BCH. But now we're talking about a fixed value. But that could be okay. One beach is one beach. I'm gonna catalog 20 million of the best beachfront properties or beach 20 million of the best properties at beaches within 1 kilometer of beaches. Yeah. Like, what if we used this currency and we created an underlying concept where the end goal is this currency to own $20 million properties like beautiful properties. 20 million beautiful properties. And it becomes like BlackRock, right? Like, but for good. So BlackRock owns all our stocks and homes and whatnot. But what if we owned all the beachfront properties 20 million beachfront properties as an asset. What would we do? We would be able to rent them out to non BCH, non beach owners, generating revenue. Where would that revenue go? It would go into improving these beaches, improving the infrastructure at these beaches. Improving these homes, paying for their home maintenance, and providing anyone who has one BCH, providing them with a place to stay rent-free. So it would be like a decentralized hotel spread all around the world. Literally, whenever an entire house is available, you could rent without having to pay anything. And you would collect as well, collectively, dividends. And interest. So yeah, we're renaming Bitcoin Cash BCH. I mean, those names will continue to exist, but just like people don't say this costs $25. People gave it a nickname and said this costs $25. This costs 25 Benjamins. No, George Washingtons. You know, you can nickname money a lot of ways. But I'm trying to make it so that we start using words that are more appealing to kids, because if the kids, the next generation, don't get onboarded early, they will get brainwashed by the banks and become adults that are unable to escape their brainwashing about money and their worship of banking currency. So yeah, I'm trying to nickname Bitcoin Cash BCH to beaches, and also subconsciously attach the idea that if you own one whole BCH, you pretty much own one whole beach property, because one whole BCH is equivalent in supply and one day will be equivalent in demand to the beachfront properties that exist within 1 kilometer of the ocean all around the world. There's probably about 20 million. Right on the beach, no. Right on the beach, there's probably like 500,000 beachfront properties. But, you know, 100 meters, 200 meters, 300 meters, 400, 500, 800, 1 kilometer away from the beach. There's probably, you know, 20 million total. Beachfront properties, beach proximate properties, beach and walking distance properties. So it's kind of like, hey, how many beaches is a, I don't know, how many beaches is a Lamborghini worth, right? So many cryptocurrency people, all they talk about is Lambos. So let's talk to them now. Hey, crypto bro, how many Lamborghini? No, how many BCH? How many beaches is a Lambo? How many beaches is a Lambo? How many BCH is a Lambo? How many beaches, like beachfront properties? Probably like a quarter of a beach. A Lambo is a quarter of a beach. I would need 4 Lambos to buy a beach property with a house on it. Like if I had a choice between like an even trade is 4 Lambos for a beachfront property with a house, or a beach near a property near the cool beach with a house. It's an even trade for 4 Lambos. Like these are brain teasers almost to try to imagine these type of vocabulary in conversations. Anyways, it's midnight. I'm way past my bedtime. I usually sleep at 9 p.m. and wake up at 4 a.m. I still want to wake up at 4 a.m. So I'm gonna do that now. But yeah, get used to saying beaches in English instead of BCH. Beaches have a positive energy to it, and it connects nature to this technology. It values nature. It represents the idea that nature is valuable, not bank currency. So instead of saying how many bank currency dollars is an onion, you can say how much of a cool beach house is an onion. 0.000001 of a cool beach house. Should be able to buy an onion. Or, you know, a dozen zeros. Um, yeah. Also in Portuguese, you would switch it to each language. So, um, Bitcoin Cash BCH would be called praias. That means beach in Portuguese. So it's not just the sound of beach. We're also going to cast and infuse nature into several languages. Word for beach. Praias. I'll pay you 0.1 praia. I need to um, I need to create a fund for people to donate 50 praias, 50 BCH, 50 beaches, um, to install infrastructure, solar panels at an agro forest, so that we all could come here and learn how to cook and grow our own food that is free of toxins, so that we don't have to work for bank money. And with that, yeah, I'll post a link. I'll post a wallet address and videos showing what we're going to do, where we're going to install this stuff, and this will allow you to come and visit and build this community. We're going to build it, and it's going to be great. I'm going to sleep now. Talk to you guys later.